You've probably already booked your trip to the Valley of the Kings, or you're about to. And if you walk in without knowing what I'm about to tell you, you will make decisions you literally cannot undo on sight, and miss things that most Egyptologists barely talk about in public. So here's what this video actually is. It's not another top tombs to visit list. It's the stuff that shapes your entire experience before you even step off the bus. The mechanical rules nobody explains, the historical details that reframe what you're looking at, and 3 specific tombs that are either hiding something genuinely unsettling or might not even be open when you show up. I've gone through academic records, excavation reports, and conservation warnings to pull this together. So let's get into it. And there's one thing I'm going to save for the end. Something about the most famous tomb in the entire valley that almost no travel content will tell you because it complicates the story people want to believe. Stay with me on that one. First, let's start with the thing that will ruin your day if you don't know it going in. Your Valley of the Kings ticket is a punch card. 3 punches, and it's done. The moment you scan into a tomb, that's one gone. You cannot re-enter, you cannot swap, and you cannot undo it. Most first-time visitors have no idea this is how it works. They assume they can wander freely between tombs like a museum. They can't. And here's the part that really stings. There are no signs at the entrance warning you about this. You find out at the gate, usually after you've already made your first choice out of excitement. So before you even think about which tombs to visit, you need to understand that every scan is permanent. Plan it before you arrive, not in the moment. But here's where it gets more complicated, because even if you plan perfectly, the tomb you most want to see might not be open. The rotation of which tombs are accessible isn't published in advance. You find out the current list on a board at the visitor center when you get there. Some tombs reopen after months or years of restoration with no announcement. Others close suddenly with no warning. And the tomb, most likely to be closed, the one widely considered the single greatest tomb in the entire Valley of the Kings, is KV-17, Seti I's tomb. KV-17 is the longest and deepest tomb in the valley. It's extensively painted, architecturally unlike anything else in the area, and it spends long stretches completely shut due to structural damage caused by excavation work done back in the 1960s. So, if you're planning your whole trip around seeing it, you are gambling against a closure system with no published schedule. Check as close to your travel date as possible. Ask your accommodation. Ask other travelers who just came back. Do not assume it will be open. Now, assuming you do get inside, and I genuinely hope you do, here's what you need to know about what's actually in there, because the tour guide won't be able to tell you. Guides are officially banned from speaking inside the tombs. The rule exists to preserve the environment and keep crowds moving. So your guide delivers their commentary outside, then waits while you explore alone. There are no interpretive signs inside to compensate. You are essentially walking through one of the most extraordinary spaces in human history, with no narration and no explanation. Which is exactly why you're watching this now. And what you're walking near inside Seti I's tomb, right beneath your feet in the burial chamber, is something that has puzzled archaeologists for 200 years. Literally, in the floor of the burial chamber, there is a shaft, a descending tunnel that plunges 174 meters into the bedrock. It was discovered in 1817 when the tomb was first opened. It was partially cleared in the 1960s, and it wasn't fully excavated until 2007 to 2010, when a team had to build a mining railway just to haul rubble out. After 3 years of that work, they hit an abrupt stop. Ancient workers had cut 572 feet into solid rock and then simply stopped. No explanation, no burial chamber, nothing. Just an unfinished passage going nowhere, or at least nowhere we can currently reach. One archaeologist on the project believed they were planning a second hidden burial chamber even deeper underground. We will never know what they were trying to reach, but here's what makes this even more unsettling. A scholar who later examined the tunnel left a direct warning in the academic record for anyone who might attempt to go further. The passageway is extremely dangerous. The stone is fragile. The air is poor. and the support braces are weak. This is not movie curse language. This is a structural engineering warning written by a professional. If you get the rare opportunity to stand inside Seti I's tomb, you're standing near a passage that modern archaeologists were genuinely afraid would collapse on them. And there's a human thread tied to this tunnel that almost never makes it into travel content. A man named Sheikh Ali Abdel Rasool personally walked an archaeologist into that unfinished passage and made him promise, if he ever became an important enough figure in the field, that he would finish the excavation. He asked only that credit go to his family name. Abdel Rasool died in 1983. The people of his village still remembered his vow to throw a 3-day celebration if the treasure was ever found. A multi-generational promise tied to a single unfinished tunnel made by a man who never lived to see it kept. That's the kind of detail that reframes what you're looking at when you stand in that burial chamber. Now remember that mega loop I opened with. The thing about the most famous tomb that complicates the story people want to believe? We're almost there. But first, one more tomb you need to know about before you make your 3-punch decision. Horemheb's tomb, KV-57, is rarely open. Most tourists never set foot inside it and don't even think to ask why. But here's what makes that quietly ironic. Horemheb was the general who systematically erased an entire dynasty from Egyptian history. He removed names, destroyed records, and rewrote the official story of his era. And now, thousands of years later, the access logistics of the modern visitor experience have quietly written him out again. Most people will never see his tomb simply because it's almost never available. The tomb of the man who erased others has itself been erased from the typical visit. That's a detail worth sitting with. And if you do get inside any of these tombs, be honest with yourself about this next part. Your body is actively damaging them. Humidity, carbon dioxide, and even trace amounts of sweat left by visitors have measurably harmed 3,000-year-old wall paintings. That's why dehumidifiers and glass screens have been installed in several tombs. The simple act of breathing inside these spaces is treated as a conservation threat. It's part of why access rotates, why certain tombs close without warning, and why the whole system feels slightly unpredictable. You being there is part of the problem they're managing, which doesn't mean you shouldn't go, but it does mean the experience is more fragile than it looks. All right, here it is. Tutankhamun's tomb, the one everyone wants to see. The golden mask, the treasure rooms, the story of Howard Carter cracking open the most intact royal burial ever found. Most travel content stops there, because that's the version that sells the experience. What gets left out is what happened to the actual mummy in 1925. Carter's team, working to remove the body from its coffin, found that the resin used in the burial had fused the mummy completely to the case. So they used hot knives, and they physically cut the body apart, separating the head from the torso to extract it. The boy king, who had been deliberately erased from Egyptian history by Horemheb and others, was, centuries later, dismembered by the very people who rediscovered him. And if that's not enough, Jean-François Champollion, the man who deciphered hieroglyphs, who gave us the ability to read ancient Egyptian writing at all, personally removed a wall panel from one of Seti III's tomb corridors during his visit in 1828. The father of Egyptology looted one of its most spectacular sites. The scholarship and the plunder were happening at the same time, by the same people. So here's where you actually are now, compared to where you were at the start of this video. You came in thinking about which tombs to visit. You're leaving knowing that your ticket is a 3-punch card with no do-overs, that the best tomb in the valley might be closed when you arrive, that your guide cannot speak inside, that the most famous mummy was cut apart by its discoverers, and that somewhere beneath the floor of Seti III's burial chamber, there is an unfinished tunnel that modern archaeologists were afraid to enter, built towards something nobody has ever found. If this is the kind of history that actually gets you, drop a comment with which of these details hit hardest, because I genuinely want to know. And if you've already been to the Valley of the Kings and wish you'd known any of this before you went, tell me that too. Those comments are always the best ones. There's another video on this channel that goes deeper into the Valley of the Kings and the sights around it. Things that reshape the way you see the whole region, not just the tombs. It's worth watching before you finalize any travel plans. It's right there when you're ready.